Born in 1964, Jack Ma grew up in Hangzhou, a city in an eastern coastal province of Zhejiang, not far from Shanghai, China. As a youngster, Ma was determined to learn English. And when the first foreign visitors began arriving in Hangzhou, thanks to China's new economic policies that opened up the country to the outside world in the late 1970s, he began showing up at the single hotel in Hangzhou that hosted the foreign tourists. For the next 9 years, he came daily and offered a free tour of the city for English-speaking guests, which allowed him to practice his conversational English skills. Jack learned English from the tourists. He did not attend any English classes, but spoke to tourists and learned from them. Ma earned a degree from the Hangzhou Teachers Institute in 1988 and took a job as a teacher there when he finished. His English skills were by then so proficient that he founded his own translation agency and worked with some of the first US companies doing business in China. In 1995, he traveled to the United States for the first time as an interpreter for one such venture and contacted a friend from China who was living in Seattle by then. That stint as a house guest provided his first contact with a personal computer, which were virtually non-existent in China at the time. It was also his first contact with the internet. I was scared because very few companies in China had computers. Computers were considered very high technology and very expensive, he remembered in the interview with the San Francisco Chronicle. Fascinated, he asked his friend to help him put up a website for his translation business and began receiving emails almost immediately. The internet was an entirely new idea in China, but Ma returned and became one of the country's first web entrepreneurs, though this was still the dial-up connection era. The day we got connected to the web, I invited friends and TV people over to my house, he told New York Times writer David Barboza, and we waited 3.5 hours and got half a page. We drank, watched TV, and played cards, waiting. But I was so proud. I proved the internet existed. He soon launched China Pages, an internet company that is believed to have been the first commercial website in China, with $2,000 he borrowed from family and friends, and spent a little over a year as general manager for a joint telecommunications venture with Chinese government. That failed, and he took a job with the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation, which served to introduce him to Yahoo's Taiwan-born co-founder Jerry Yang in 1998. Inspired once again to test China's free market information technology waters on his own, he culled enough money, this time $60,000, from a new batch of investor friends to launch Alibaba.com in 1999. Designed as a business-to-business, B2B marketplace that connected buyers and sellers of various goods, it quickly emerged as a successful new player in the global bazaar, and another round of financing, this one $25 million, arrived when some major financial players showed interest. Among them were the Wall Street investment bank Goldman Sachs and Japanese internet entrepreneur Masayoshi Son. Alibaba.com hit the 1 million user mark in March of 2002 and finally began making money later that year, as Ma had promised its backers. Initially, it had been free to join, but offered a host of extras, such as personalized web pages that brought in revenue. He hoped to someday take the company public, which is based in his hometown of Hangzhou, one of China's fastest-growing cities. From being a poor village boy, Jack Ma now owns a company that is worth 4,000 thousands. What we think, or what we do, or what we believe is in the end not important. It is what we do. The world doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do. When you practice how to use Word or Excel at night until 10 p.m., that is action. When you listen to your MP3 player for your English lessons 10 times a day, that is action. What separates winners from losers is that winners take action, while losers watch TV. Many people fail to take action because they are afraid to fail. Successful people realize that failure is an important part of the learning process. They know that failure is just a way to learn by trial and error. We must stop being afraid of failure. We must be willing to fail. You are afraid to appear stupid. You are afraid that people will laugh at you. You are afraid to get scolding. You are afraid of so many things that you will never learn. The fool is a person who knows nothing and pretends to know everything. Likewise, can you speak English without speaking? Afraid to speak to people in English? Afraid that your English is not good enough? Afraid that people will laugh at you? Then you can never learn to speak English. Many children in Siem Reap can speak English. They know because they have the courage to speak to the tourists there. They learn by practicing with the tourists. Be willing to start without seeing the whole path. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You are master of your own destiny. You choose what you want your life to be. Are you too lazy to provide for your family? Are you too proud to want a good future, not only for yourself, but for your children? Imagine your life 20 years from today. That life will be what you start doing today. Hard work. That price is hard work.